All right, Kevin, back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I'm here with Anthony McCarthy. Anthony, welcome. So awesome to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin, for inviting me. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Same here, same here. And I want to start by just giving a shout out to Igor Kafetz because Igor is the one that connected you and I. And I got connected with Igor after Igor and my mutual friend Joel Irway had made a post on Facebook, and we was talking about partnerships and this and that, and he mentioned my name, and Igor saw that and ended up reaching out, and him and I connected and ended up having a conversation. I actually interviewed him for the podcast as well, and after having that experience, he's like, Kevin, he's like, you have got to interview my mentor, Anthony, for the podcast. He would be a great person to interview because he's like, Kevin, he too is a guy who just places such a high value on relationships. And so you and I connected probably about a week or so. We hopped on Zoom. We got
Yeah,
to know each other a little bit, and here we are. And
well,
I mean, what a beautiful testament right there to the power of relationships. And I've just been really looking forward to having this conversation with you today, Anthony.
the first thing, I suppose, the first thing to do a pre-qualifier for this is I am Irish, so I have an Irish accent. So I am speaking in my best low voice that I can, because I speak normally at about 15 times the speed of what I'm currently speaking at. But the one thing I think with relationships is, yeah, Eager is very, very good at it. Is you got to take some action. You got to reach out to people and follow up with them. If you do that, meeting people and doing nothing gets you nowhere.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, taking action kind of helps a little bit, doesn't it?
Always, yeah. The way I describe it to my kids, and I have 5 kids, is it's a bit like there's a tank coming down the road, and you say, "Yeah, I really should get out of its way." Well, stop thinking about it and get out of its way.
Yes, right, right.
Don't worry whether you go left, right.
Yeah,
Don't go forward or back, obviously, but go left or right. But get out of the way.
that's right. Just do something.
And
Well, what I'd like,
even if it's wrong, even if it's wrong, it doesn't matter. At least
yeah,
you're taking action.
that's right. That's right. Well, what I'd like to do is kind of just start by turning it over to you, Anthony, so that we can set some context. So why don't we start with just kind of how did you well first of all, let me ask you, what do you do, and who do you serve, and what excites you most about the impact you're making in the world through your business?
There are three very long answers for those questions, but I'll
We
try to
can
be.
break them up.
Yeah. So, what do I do? Who do I serve? I serve people who are looking to make money on the internet.
Okay.
Okay. Very, very simply, beginners, mostly people coming up to intermediate, we carry them on upwards. So because I think there's an awful lot of nonsense, not going against anybody, talked about it, about online, not going negative in any shape or form. When I did it, I didn't understand it when I started. I come from a brick and mortar background. I have always worked for myself. I said since I was 17, but it's actually only since I went online I worked for myself. Up until then, 15, 16 years ago now, I was actually working for the business. Never realized it. I hear a lot of people say, I work for myself, and they've got a premises, you're locked to the premises, you're there 6 days a week, 7 days a week, you're locked to it. That's not freedom. And I suppose the why do I do it? What excites me is the fact I love seeing people break through. The percentage of people that break through is quite small, which is always very, very disappointing. And I'm not being negative again. And it's a bit like what we said, is taking action. I started where most people start. I bought a program from a guy who we've already had on, a guy called Matt Basak.
Oh yeah.
And I sat at an event in Dublin in complete and absolute I suppose not awe, but the opposite of awe of like really this is a bunch of crap, right? There's no way this works. that, like, you know, we've all these American guys coming over telling us how they've got planes and they're doing this and the rest of it. And I've been around. I know what I'm talking about. I'd lost a fortune at that stage in the property business. And I'm sitting there listening to this guy, but it caught my attention because it was email marketing. And the fascinating thing for me was that you could write one email. Like, remember now, right? This was 16 years ago. Everybody now knows what an autoresponder was. I'd never seen. There's only twice in my lifetime I've gone, holy crap, with computers, right? And AI isn't one of those. The very first one was I was on DOS. If you're old enough to remember DOS,
I remember DOS.
and I used to use Lotus 123. And we bought, when I was in the ceramic tile business, we bought in lira. We had to convert it into Irish pounds, right? And then we had to convert square meters to square yards, because we bought in square meters in lira and we sold in pounds in yards, and then we had to do our margins. So I had all these spreadsheets, and it was dot, 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 and you do all this, it's perfect, go bang, and it didn't work. And you're like, what? And the anger, I can still remember, you know you're frustrated when you're cursing at the computer.
Yes.
And I walked in and I saw Windows for the first time, and I was actually late for the demonstration. And the guy was showing Excel, and he did autofill. And I went down to the guy in the back room and said, I want 7 computers, when can you deliver? And I want all this on. How much? Did the deal, wrote it, gave him a check, said, deliver them next week. And that was it, done. It was that much a change. And the same was an autoresponder. Like, I come from direct mail. You know, my first job, when I went working with my father, I went into the family business. My father had a business that was not in a great shape at the time, and then we opened the tile business together. Like, I had to sell by letter, and back then high tech was carbon copy. You know, remember the carbon copies?
I remember carbon copy.
And we used to have a rotary phone, and you know, I got very high tech with that, because I'd make 20 phone calls a day to architects. If we got a sale, it was worth 800,000. I was 17 now at this stage, right? And I'm selling it 800 grand stuff, too dumb to fail. I think is the reality. And I remember going very high tech and buying a pencil so that my finger didn't get warm. So, like, I remember all of that. And then all of a sudden, you've now got an autoresponder that you can actually write one email and send it to 10 people or 10 million people. That just absolutely blew my mind. Yeah. And, you know, it's taken for granted very much with people. No, you know, there's all the conversations about email. There's this, that email is still the most effective way to get people to do anything. And that's just the stat fact, right? And it's a fascinating industry. And the other thing, I suppose, that really gets me excited is I can come up with an idea and a concept and take that from an idea to birth to adulthood. And I really like that process. I really like the fact that, okay, you know, I'm kind of jumping on over, which I do, Kevin, right?
But that's okay. That's okay.
People talk about how, you know, you test the product. Well, there's one very simple way to test the product: sell it. Right? Yeah. If somebody's willing to pay for it, it works. If they're not, it doesn't matter. So I came from a background of, you know, one of my showrooms in the kitchen business cost me 440,000 euros, which is about $600,000 at the time, just to find out was anybody going to buy something, right? So we would make it first and then sell it. Whereas what I now do, and what I learned, again, primarily from Matt Basic, I have to give him credit for this, because I actually went and lived with him. When I bought his program, became friends. I actually went and lived with him in his basement, which sounds horrific, but I had my own bar, my own hot tub, and my own cinema room, you know? So it wasn't exactly slumming it. So, you know, and I remember, like, his whole thing was sell it first, then make it, because if you can sell it, you're making what the people want. And give people sell them what they want, give them what they need. And I think that's another thing that really excites me, is trying to get that light bulb. And when people see that light bulb of, okay, I can actually do this. Yes, I can make money. So one of my sons, for example, is now joining the business in January. For the last 3 years, he's been online successfully. Prior to that, he was driving a forklift. He went down the route of that. I had him at all the events at 16. He was around. He saw me speak. He saw me on stage and all the rest of it. No interest, but he was absorbing. And then he, like, you know, we turned around and he, his wife or his girlfriend got pregnant, as happens. And he's now given me 2 gorgeous grandkids, which I absolutely adore. And, you know, he needed to change. He didn't have enough money, so he needed to change his life around. And, you know, he just hit it. It just clicked and he hit it. And you know, I was doing very, very well, to the fact that, you know, I turned 59 in January. I've probably 6, 7, 8 years at the level I'm working at. And no, I have a nice life. I'm not going to lie. I have a nice life. Right? I go on holidays when I want. I do what I want. I'm not a slave to the business, but, you know, there's stuff every day that needs to be done in the business, and we're going to grow it up again, because, again, not being bad, my wife got cancer for 2 years, so I basically took 2 years off to mind her. So she's out the other side, thank God. It was a very, very bad diagnosis, and she's out the other side. And again, having the power of the internet to be able to do that, and having stuff that, you know, continues to sell, hits a lifespan, then you reinvent it or you do something else. So it's the excitement and it's the change. Like we are living in the Wild West. Right, we're like our Star Trek. I'm a big Star Trek and Star Wars fan. So, you know, to boldly go where no man has gone before. You look at the advent of AI. You look at the advent of video calling. You look at the advent or the bringing in of video, Zoom, like we're doing now. Yeah. You know, all of these things, they didn't exist 15 years
ago. That's right. That's right.
You know? And people say it's very hard now to go online. What? What? You know, try going online on dial-up, then come back and talk to me.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's phenomenal. I mean, just the fact that you and I are across the world from each other, and yet here we are sitting here having a conversation and communicating. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Because yeah, you're right. It wasn't that long ago where this technology didn't even exist. It wasn't even possible.
As I said, my kids, you know, and they say, "Oh, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about." The rest of it, I go, "I'm older than Google."
Yeah, I'm older than Google. That's right.
Yeah, it is like we're actually older than Google. Like I remember the .com, the noughties and the .com bubble. Like, and people saying, you know, so you don't make anything, you don't do anything, but it's worth how much?
Yeah.
You don't sell anything. You're not selling anything. And like, even when Google came up, it was like, that'll never work. Got that one right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was an alien concept. You know, who would have thought back then that, like, you know, and this is the point for anybody listening who's thinking of coming in and going into the make money space or any spaces, that like the people go, oh my God, it's constantly changing. That's the advantage, not the disadvantage. And that's the bit that excites me, because, you know, look, where's AI going? You've now got voice. You've got, like, even Go High Level are launching assistants where it'll answer your phone if you've got a traditional brick and mortar business. You can now be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And for me, having spent the money I spent on showrooms, and I hear people saying, oh my God, I have to invest $1,000. I put $1,000 into a course and it didn't work. I can honestly tell you, I have never bought a course that did not work. I bought courses that I didn't want to work, but I never bought a course that I didn't want to work. Like, I bought an eBay course when I started. I was in business with a guy, because I owned multiple different businesses over the years. And I was in business with a guy who were doing photography, and we went to sell photography. And what it taught us very quickly is we closed the business within 6 months, because smartphones were coming in and they killed the photography business. They killed it. There's more photographs taken today now than there ever was, and there's less money made out of photography as a business than it was. And very few people print their pictures anymore. If you want, remember, you'd go and like you'd get your camera, and if you were going on holidays, you might get a disposable camera. I had an SLR, and I used to go around taking all these very sexy, I thought were great photographs, until I go back and look at them now. And it's a case of you had to print them to get them done.
Yeah.
You know, when's the last time you printed a picture? So the opportunities are constantly evolving, which means and the beauty of that is there can be no expert. They can be an expert at this particular point in time. They can be an expert at a skill or at a certain section of it. But there's always gaps where there's openings. Like, you've new social media's opening. You've new everything opening. You've got algorithm changes. You've got all of this. And everyone, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Make money from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Figure out one thing, make money from it. Don't try and do a million things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there is so much opportunity out there. And we just find the thing that we like or find the things that we enjoy and that are valuable. I mean, it's just solving problems for people is really what we're doing, And the more valuable problems we solve, the more valuable we are to somebody.
And you look at the softwares that are available, like Go High Level, ClickFunnels, all of these things, so I'll do this at my own cost, right? So I opened a kitchen company with this guy, an American partner. We called it Cocoon, right?
Okay.
And the whole idea, it was Cocoon, and our logo was a butterfly, and beautiful things emerge. And the butterfly, we did kitchens for the kitchens, we did bedrooms, we did sofas, and we did tiles. So what we were doing was the butterfly came on, and it got built in Flash, cost about 7,000 to get this built, and it flapped its wings, which was fantastic, and all the products came out of it. Okay, great. First of all, on dial-up, it looked like it was an epileptic butterfly. Right? And the second thing is, we never put a telephone number on the front page.
Oh, okay.
And we didn't have an opt-in. We had no way of getting the contact. So, like, from a retailer's perspective, not having an opt-in on a page, is like, not having a salesperson in the shop. Yeah. It just does not make any sense. Why would you not capture people who want to come? I don't want to email them. It's invasive. It's this and that. It's not, because people can unsubscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one lesson in because I've been on the internet for years before I ever went into internet marketing space. I didn't know internet marketing existed until I went to that. No clue. And I sat there and I peeled my jaw off the ground. And I was dragged to it unwillingly.
Yeah. It's interesting. I first started to grasp the power of the internet when I attended a Dan Kennedy seminar back in 1999. And at that time, this guy, Yannick Silver, Yannick and I have become good friends since that time. But Yannick Silver and Perry Marshall were both doing some stuff online at that time back in 1999. And I'm like, I wonder if I could do some stuff online. And so I ended up hiring them, got their help, and I started probably one of the ugliest websites on the internet, because at the time I owned a cleaning and restoration company. We did carpet cleaning, water damage restoration, and I started this butt ugly website called getmoldsolutions.com. And within within a couple of years, we had that website producing about $15,000 a month for the company and stuff. And
ugly works. Like my first one was my first internet marketing site. So I got named the Irish marketer by Matt Basak, right?
Okay.
So he said, "Okay, you're the Irish marketer." I said, "Fine." Okay, sounds good to me. A lot of people here take offense with, who you say you're the Irish marketer? Well, I am Irish and I'm a marketer, so I'm an Irish marketer. And I got there before you. That's it. But my first opt-in page was called Pot of Gold News.
Okay.
With a ugly image of a leprechaun done in Courier, and the goddamn thing opted in at about 85% of the time.
Nice.
Right? And all it was is, everybody thinks the pot, I can tell you, remember the copy. Everybody thinks the pot of gold is at the end of the rainbow. It's not. It's at the end of your fingertips online. That was my head.
Nice.
And it just converted, and it shouldn't. It was just ugly beyond redemption. No, you can't do that anymore, because people are got an expectation of the rest of it. But even back with that stuff, it was just so much fun. But the one thing is I dug in. Like, so I had a retail business, and I was about to open up in the States in Long Beach, and my partners that were supposed to open the place in Long Beach got arrested for running a Ponzi scheme the day before it was opening up. Or they were about to sign the checks. That was great. So that killed that business. And I got a very large contract for 6.8 million. The kitchen business is a trilogy, is my Freddy Krueger trilogy, really, like, to be honest. And I had a 6 million, and the contract got paused. So I have 6.2 million, where I delivered on site for 3.1 million. I have 3 million on a contract, but I have no cash, right? So I can't go to the grocery store and say, hi, I've got this contract for 6.2 million, give me groceries. The answer is no. And that's when I went up to go up, and I learned, I went to this event, and I went full-time online straight away. But by God, I threw myself in. Like, I was doing 16 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah. Wow.
No, I did way too much stuff that I shouldn't have done, because you're learning all. Like, I was always one of these guys that when I did business, I could drive the forklift, I could do the accounts, I could run the account system, I needed to know everything. And I did the same online. It probably took me about 3-4 years to get out of the habit.
Okay.
Don't waste your money on doing that, because your time is valuable. Work on the big ideas. The headline is much more important than whether there's a graphic in the middle of the page.
Yeah.
And this type of stuff. So it was interesting.
Yeah. Wow. Well, so now that we've got a little bit of context set here, and people have kind of a little idea of your background and all that, I'm going to switch gears just slightly, and I'm going to reiterate the question I want to ask for the benefit of our listeners. So, Anthony, have you ever been introduced to a person or persons that completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And Anthony, I'm just really excited to hear, your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
So I'm going to name a few people, and I hope I don't leave people out, because it was never. So at different stages, it's been different people, right? So when I started out, and to this day, he's still a very close friend, was Matt Basic. Right?
Okay.
Matt came over. I did his program, and he came back with his wife, and they came to Cork because he had family from Cork, where I'm from in Ireland, and we hung out, and we went to Dublin and train. And Matt back then was, speaking was huge. You're talking to a room of 500-700 people, 1,000 people. He was just back from Singapore, I think 2,500 people. You're selling 15-20% of the room, and you've your upsells into the back and the rest of it. So like everybody was trying to get a piece of it, right? So he was very, very guarded. I wasn't trying to get a piece of anything. So on the train, we're going up anyway, and he says to me, "Dude, you recommend what you want?" And I said, "I want your list." And I could see the blood, and I winked at his wife first before I said it, right? So Steph knew I was joking. I could see the blood draining from his face. He said, "What do you want my list for?" I said, "I want to see where my name is so I can take it off." I said, "I don't want anything for you except the answer to one question, and just one question. My current situation. I've lost everything. I'm holding on to my house by the skin of my teeth, right? I've been completely obliterated. So tell me this, is this true? Is it horseshit?" That was the exact question I asked him. And he said, "Okay, pay for your plane ticket, get over, you're coming to live with me for a week, and I'm going to show you the business." And I went to meet the Wizard of Oz, and I learned how to play the organ.
Yeah.
Is the easiest way of saying it. Because everything that I was doing, the guys that make money, the people that make money, men and women that make money on this, do a very narrow band. And that was the interesting thing. And one of the things he said to me is, you want to go an inch wide and a mile deep.
I love that.
Yeah, rather than a mile wide and an inch deep, because you make money. So Matt was fantastic. Paul Amani helped me to do Paul and myself actually started on the same day. I don't know if you know Paul O'Mahony. And Paul goes around the world. He is probably one of the best speakers I've ever seen in action. To be fair, he is honed in his craft, and he's got a great business. We're in two different routes. He went speaking. I sat. I had 5 kids. I wasn't going anywhere. But to be fair, doing high level ticket stuff. Igor Igor Kefetz has also been a mentor in just kicking, especially like Igor was great when my wife was sick, and we got a real bad diagnosis, right? We had a less than 10% chance of survival.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And I'm kind of fond of my wife, so with 5 kids, it's obvious. We just had the first grandchild, and we were sitting down. We were in Ibiza. Ironically, Ibiza is this party island, and one of our sons was working over us. We went over to see him, so we went over, and she wasn't feeling well. And we were talking about like our future and what the whole. And then we came back, and within 6 weeks, we went from her being brought into hospital on a Saturday to having Crohn's disease on a Monday to an inoperable tumor on the Friday. And like Igor reached out, he rang me, said, I'm meeting you in Manchester. I said, what? He said, you come away for the weekend. I'm going to Manchester, come down. We went off to Manchester, the two of us, had a great time. I have, Mo Latif is another great friend. We throw stuff around each other. So what I do is I actually have a multiple group of peers that we all like. It's interesting. Igor would say he's a mentor. That I'm a mentor to him because he
did say that. Yes.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't have seen that as a relationship. I would see it as a true relationship, which is give and take to me. A relationship is about an equal exchange, not one to the other. Right? No. So even with Matt, I was talking to Matt 2 days ago. And I know you've had Matt on before. Sean Casey, I have, because of the summits and what I do with relationships that we'll talk about in a minute, I have this pool of people that I can actually tap into. Yeah. And it's very important because, this office is built in my back garden. It was one of my goals. So I sit in my back garden. My dog is asleep there. I go bring her out for a walk in the morning. I live a very kind of insular life in a way, outside of when we travel and when we go away and the rest of it, because you're on and you're in your own mind and you're in your own zone and you're having it. So having people that you can just pick up the phone and ring and have a human conversation with about business, about what's happening, or I'm thinking of this, what you think of that? No, that's a dumb idea, I wouldn't do that. Or yeah, I know a guy who did this, actually I'd introduce you to him. And that's what a lot of us now do. We don't see each other as competition in the industry, which was a big thing for me to learn coming in, because the reality is we're all each other's affiliates, so we're all partners. So we look at each other as partners, and we have not everybody. I'm not saying that everybody's walking on water and they're all singing hallelujah at the end of the day. They're not, right? You're going to find good people. You're going to find people that you do business with that you don't particularly like, and you're going to find people that you would never do business with again, right? That's just the nature of business. But there isn't the cutthroatedness that people perceive in the industry. There just isn't. And most of the guys are like, once you get to a certain level, they're actually quite happy to chat too. So they're having a problem. Like Igor's having a problem with something, he'd pick up the phone, especially business wise, because I'm around a long time. I'm 40. I'm 42 years in business. And I've been up and down, and I've had more money than God and lost more money than God. So I'm built back up again. So it's it's not a clean answer for me, Kevin, and say, oh, it's this person or it's that person at the different stages. The one thing I think I do well, is it's always me, right? My wife says when God was giving out filters, I wasn't even in the room, right? So you get what you get, and that's it. And I don't go to gain anything from anybody. You'll be smart. You'll be smart once.
Yeah.
You'll be smart, but once. You know, you might get one over on somebody once, but you'll get it over on them once. And I like, you know, when you're talking about relationships, I call it the WWW, right? Which is not the World Wide Web, which is win-win-win. The end user has to win. My partner has to win. And I have to win. And if you get that 3 wins working, then you're into a situation where you have something that will continue to make money, continue to grow. And I'm a prostitute. I have no qualms about it. Like, I'm in business to make money. I'm not in business to influence people. I don't care whether I get a like on Facebook or not. I don't care how many people follow me. I couldn't care less. I really couldn't. I care who's on my email list. And if you're on my list and you're getting emails from me, you might say, my God, that guy sends way too many emails. I don't object to that, because I have a very simple philosophy. Buy or buy. B-U-Y or B-Y-E. Because you're costing me money and I'm a businessman at heart. I will be social on social media and I will be on email. I'll be that way. But when it comes to the relationships with the guys, I like, you know, we with someone coming up, I have 30 people on. I don't know all of them, but I know people who know people who know people, like yourself. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing, because there's another friend of mine, a guy called Pat Slattery. And Pat actually invited me to the event. So, you know, he was doing events and he does a lot of business stuff when it comes to networking. But he says, your money is not in your net worth, but your network.
That's right. That's
you know, and I really like that attitude. And like you were talking about Dan Kennedy, I was at a mastermind with Dan Kennedy. I was Matt's guest, so I was second seat. So you get to go to all of these different things. And at the time, I couldn't afford to join Dan Kennedy. You know, I was struggling to fly across. You know, so like, and it took a bit of time, but they've always been there. But it's always been when Matt did that for me, Matt did a launch called Mass Money Makers, right? And they broke the ClickBank record.
Okay.
I went and helped Matt with the social media management on that, reputation management and all that. I went in the support box for an hour and he fired me. Because I sent the guy an email, did you watch the training? And the guy says, yes, did you?
Nice.
I've never been treated so rude. I was like, I didn't think it was like rude. I was just asking, did you watch the training? Like, it was a quite innocent question. Like, did you watch the training? Is there a quite particular question? But so like, I would always give and learn, because if you think about it on that, what I did is, no, I didn't. I helped myself out, right? Because I learned how a launch works, how all the different pages that they had to build. I got a master class to trade in some time. So if you don't have money, you do have sweat equity, as it's called at Shark Tank, which I watch a lot. But people just don't want to give it up. It's a lot of people's attitude intrigues me when it comes to this, because like I've no problem with doing it. I did it a number of times with different guys, because, you know, come here, let me come in and help you, and so I can see how you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, like, what am I losing here? You know, I lost 3 weeks of my life. Oh my God. I made 15 grand when I was doing it, because I was promoting it. You know, so like, what did I lose? Would I have made 25, 30 if I was totally focused on it? Probably. But it doesn't matter. I still made money. I still did it, and we still run, you know?
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question. I don't know if it does or not, but
that was brilliant. That was brilliant. So I want you to, because you have a gift for bringing entrepreneurs together, you know, just people who are just really brilliant at using the internet to create income, to create revenue and all of that. And you bring a bunch of them together for the purpose of helping up and coming people who want to start using. So talk a little bit about these summits that you do, because how many of them have you done now, Anthony? A lot.
about 37.
About 37. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you got a few of them under your belt for
Yeah,
sure.
but they're marathons. Like the smallest one I've ever done has been 11 speakers. The biggest one has been 42.
Okay. 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 So what inspires you most about it? I mean, I know you've talked about some things, but what inspires you to just keep doing that and keep hosting these summits and doing that?
So there's a selfish reason and there's a philanthropical reason, right? Which would you like first?
Well, because you made it clear that you're in business to make money, so we know that. We know
Okay,
that. There's
so
nothing wrong with
yeah, I do 3-4 summits a year, and I'm actually going to break into other niches. I'm going into the real estate niche and the business niche.
it. Okay.
Next year, it's one of the reasons I'm bringing my son in because he'll be helping run the IM business. I'll still be involved, but he'll be running it primarily. So the main reason, from my selfish point of view, is I do cross promotions every week. I run a
Okay.
webinar every week, right? So if you think about it, if you do 48 webinars in a year, that's as many as you can do.
Okay.
I know we got up to 160. That's the
Wow.
first, right? The second thing is I know the people to cross promote for the week
Mm-hmm.
because I find out on the summit whether one, they are true to what they say. Two, is the product any good? Because I can review all the products, I can do the rest of it, but snowstorms can be given out. So I make sure everybody new coming on has a good refund policy and all of that type of stuff so that the client gets looked after. But I find out if they're any good and whether they can drive traffic. So then I make more money on the weekly ones. Because otherwise you're doing stuff where which has happened, you cross promote more. I put 80, 100, 150, it used to be 250 back in 2 years ago, and it's coming back up to those numbers again on a webinar, right?
Okay.
Great, fantastic. And there was 3 of us on the webinar. There was me, one of my team, and the guy himself. That was it. There was nobody else there. No, I've lost a week of promo because the way the promo business works for anybody new to this is that they run me and I pay them a commission. I run them and they pay me a commission, right? Which means I can, on paper, double my money, but at least I'm doing 1.5 times, twice, maybe 3 times my money, right?
Okay.
That's the reality. So I'm making more money, which is what the business is about, because the more money I can make quicker, the better. Like I don't sell $7 products, right? I'll be involved in a couple next year, but I don't do it. But they're for other reasons. They're for other business reasons. Like I prefer to get somebody to pay $997, $1297, and I get 50% of that money. I'm making $500 a sale. The guy runs it. He looks after it. He services it. He does everything. Looks after the customer, and I get a check.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a fairy tale in the world that I come from.
Right. Right.
Because when I was in the kitchen business, and this is where the logic comes from, when I was in the kitchen business, 95% of my work was done after I made the sale. It had to be done after I made the sale.
Yeah. Yeah.
In this, you can have it all done and built. You don't build when you're selling something to start. You don't build it. You build it then, and you do a live couple of sessions. You chop them up. You turn them into memberships, and then what you do is you just run it and you just keep repeating. So I can take one product and sell it 1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
I really like that process, but to do that, I need good partners. So that's the other reason on the summits is it's fantastic for people to come on because you're getting this catalog of different ways to make money. And, everybody makes an offer. So it's called a pitch fest in the industry, right? Which I think is an unfair one. But it's what I went to first. And I liked the fact that everybody's selling. I'm watching how they're selling. I'm watching what they're selling. I'm watching, did they get me to buy? Did they want me to get me to buy? What did I think of the product? How did they present? And what's happening is they're coming in and they're presenting you with, so that you're going to get 30 different ways, from real estate to investing to, social media, email marketing, video marketing, all across the board, AI, all across the board. You're getting all this in a week and a half, all done there. And if you don't, you can buy the recordings and watch them in your own time. So there's no problem with that. but you're getting it all done in one day. To do that is normally 30 weeks.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we're fast tracking you to pick out. And my whole strategy to everybody is, depending on your finances at the time, maybe you can't afford to work with anybody. Fair enough. That's not a problem. We've all been there. And maybe you've got some money. Maybe you've got a bit of extra money. So you buy one program, do it. But do it.
Yeah.
Finish it. Figure it out. All of these guys are not selling you something that doesn't make money. They wouldn't be in business.
Yeah.
95% of people fail in this because they fail to take action.
That's right.
I did a very interesting test, right, on the summit. I said, how much time, I did it, and it was about 2 years ago. Right?
Okay.
Actually, it was 3 years ago. It was the first one we did in COVID, right? So I said, how many hours would you have to work in your business every day, right? And we put in a lot of options. And, the average time that somebody could put in to a business, side business, in their own head, and this is not true, was about an hour a day.
Okay. Okay.
Right? Because they're working and they're out, they're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So then on another one, I asked them for recommendations on Netflix series or any series that they watch. Game of Thrones came up. Game of Thrones is 80 hours, something like that. No problem with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everybody had something that was a series of boom. And I walked them into this now, being blunt about it. And then I just turned around and said, you don't have enough time to make money, but you've enough time to waste money by watching this. And don't get me wrong, I watch TV myself. I'm not one of these guys saying take your TV out of the house and throw it out and get rid of Netflix. That's why I like sitting down and putting my brain. I went to see the new Gladiator movie the other day. I like going to leave my brain at the door and just sitting and enjoying myself, right? It's relaxation. I have no problem with it. But if I'm broke or I'm not happy at where I'm at or I'm struggling, I'm not doing that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm working, right?
Yeah.
Like there is a price to pay. I have my life, just to give you an idea. I wake up in the morning, I get up about 8 o'clock with the dog, I do some work and some calls and have some stuff sorted, have breakfast around 9, 10 o'clock, bring the dog for a walk, chill out with my wife, do something around 2 o'clock, come into the office. And after that I work away probably till 10, 11 o'clock at night. Right?
Okay.
And so I'm doing kind of 8, 10 hours. There's a days that I don't feel like doing that. I go to the cinema. I'll go see my father. I'll go see my grandkids. My grandkids came over last night for an hour and a half. It was no problem. I took the time out. I was with my grandkids for the hour and a half. They went off. I come back to work. I have the freedom to make the choices that I want to make. And that is the power of the internet.
Yeah.
I am not making the most money of all the people I know. This guy's making a ton more money than me.
Totally.
But I don't think there's that many of a better life.
Yeah.
I went on 7 holidays last year. We went on a cruise. We went, we just go off. We feel like we're gone for a couple of nights. So we have a new dog, so that's slowing that down. But we'll just vanish. I will just decide, yeah, come on, we're going next week. Book the flight, we're back.
Yeah.
And we're out, right? And the other amazing thing in this is I can actually step away from the business. In all of my previous businesses, I could not step away from the business. I would land and I'd have 50 missed calls and I would be on the phone. My wife would tell you for the whole time I was on this, solving problems, especially in the kitchen and the toilet business, because we were also contracting, and contracting in itself is difficult if you're not the person on the site. And I was never the person on the site. So it's a fascinating, the freedom. For me, it was freedom. That's why I built here. I hadn't seen, I used to go out in the morning at 8:30 in the morning, come back at 7:30 at night, booted and suited 6 days a week, and on Sunday I couldn't talk. Right? And I'd written I'd done this course, and I said, put on a vision board and a book, and I put down a vision board, and I actually found it the week before I went to the online event, or the event in Dublin. About the internet, and one of the first thing was I need to spend more time with my kids. And so I built the office in the back garden. My kids would come home from school. I'd go in and spend time, a couple of hours with them, play PlayStation, do whatever, go to the movies, go to their soccer matches. Christmas Eve, and I know this is kind of really random off, but one thing will come up to Christmas, and the thing that I remember the most, my wife would go to see Santa Claus, and I would be getting ready to run. Like, I would literally be timing it to get in for the photograph. She'd ring me, she'd text me, right, we're there in 20 minutes. I'd run, go, bang, and I was gone back out because we were trying to get all the jobs finished and everything done. Like, you know, I go now with my grandkids, and we take, it's half a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that to me is the true freedom.
Yeah.
And I suppose that it brings. And for me, it's, you have the opportunity, because that's where I started, and that's, long story boring, right? Is that's why I started the Summits, because it's where I started, and I see the value in it, of being able to see multiple different choices all presented, and then you can make your decision on what you want, and pick 1, 2, 3 that dovetail together and go do them. Like, I bought the eBay program in Dublin, right? It cost $2,500. It probably saved us 400 grand.
Yeah.
So people would say, "Oh, that was a failure." No, it wasn't. That was an extremely positive thing. Sometimes finding out what you don't want to do is as important as finding out what you want to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll tell you, I am 100% with you, Anthony. I mean, I have, I've got 7 kids, we've got 6 grandkids, and I really love being a husband and a father. And my whole business has been set up so that it just supports me in doing that. And I don't have any problem saying no to income opportunities if it's not in alignment with that. And yeah, like you said, there's people making a whole lot more money than me or you, and that's totally cool. That's all right. I'm happy with my life.
But I think that's very important, that you set the goals for you rather than what the world wants. Like,
right.
You should have a Rolex. I don't want a Rolex. I had one. I get to watch. You should have a Ferrari. I'm 59 years of age in January. I couldn't get out of it. Right? What's the point?
Yeah.
So, since you have 7 kids, I hope you have the same prenuptial agreement with your wife that I have with mine. This is a standard joke in our house. So it's whoever has the affair gets the kids. So
there you go.
There's no affair.
I'm gonna tell that to her. Nice. Well, Anthony, I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation today and just share from your heart. It really means a lot. And for anybody that's listening to this going, man, Kev, I really like Anthony. I appreciate the way he shows up. And maybe they're like, how can they find out more information on you, or any resources, any websites we can share with them?
The best one would be, for the Summits, is the best way of getting in contact.
Okay.
The ultimateprofitbootcamp.com.
Okay, perfect. Well, I
go there, because you register, you'll get access to recordings if the Summit is over, but you'll be on the list for the next
one. Okay, perfect.
And we'll be emailing you out in between anyway. And okay. Kevin, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me on. I love talking about myself, as you can see, so it's not a problem. I'm an expert on the subject.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Well, thanks again, Anthony. Really appreciate it, and excited to get this out there and share it with a lot of other folks. So thank you.
Thanks very much.